Government officials run for dear life as row over Naivasha land gets ugly.
Katiba inasema 15% na tumepatia watu 31%. Amedanganya Isaac akamwambia wewe unaweza kuwa running mate yangu 27. Ndio mwambie awache hakuna uongozi atapata asahau.
We have been joined together by the constitution by assignment of our various functions and roles within the constitution, and in our institutions we cannot work separately.
Defending devolution or courting trouble, Isaac Ruto's dilemma. Bodies retrieved from scene of Aberdare plane crash. Living in solitude, the story of Samburu's Ilkunono ostracized clan. Again, such a pleasure to have you with us tonight. Now, we begin our bulletin tonight with drama from Naivasha, where government officials had to flee for dear life from enraged members of the Maasai community, whose houses were allegedly torched by security officers last week in a bid to evict them from a 16,000-acre field, which is a subject of controversy. Interior Secretary Joseph Olelenku, who later addressed the locals, stated that the government was unaware of the forceful evictions and assured them that the torched homes will be rebuilt. This as the Kenya electricity generation company KenGen distanced itself from the Naivasha land row. Angel Katusia reports.
A chaotic reception is what government officials from Nakuru on a mission members of the Ma community evicted from a contentious piece of land in Narasha village in relief. The husbands and to the children their fathers are finally the men they have long desired to have. For the men, it's a life they have come to adore, an alcohol-free life. A vigorous anti-alcohol campaign in Murang'a County is in the process of rehabilitating hundreds of young men from alcoholism. Majority now freely talking of the addiction that for some has cost them their jobs and many their families.
Mimi sikuwa nalala kitanda moja na bibi yangu. Bibi yangu alikuwa akona kitanda yake, lakini tuko kwa room moja, lakini kitanda yake ni kando, yangu ni kando.
I felt so excited.
All right, we apologize for that. We'll get back to that story as soon as we can. But let's move forward now. And 3 bodies of those who perished in a plane crash in the Aberdare forest last Thursday have finally been retrieved. The exercise that was called off yesterday owing to poor weather continued today with no hitch. The bodies of the foreigners were immediately flown to the Wilson Airport.
The weather up in the Aberdare Mountains was better than yesterday's, making the retrieving of the bodies from the wreck manageable. 3 helicopters ferried officials from the Kenya Wildlife Service, Air Accident Investigation Team and the police to the scene where the Cessna 206 airplane crashed 4 days ago, killing everyone on board.
By this side, please.
It's already there.
Okay, gently down, gently down, gently down. Now let's start all the way. Okay.
The bodies of the pilot and his 2 passengers were later taken to the Wilson Airport. And one by one, they were removed from the helicopter and put inside a hearse, ready to be transferred to the Lee Funeral Home. A somber mood engulfed the Wilson Airport airstrip.
All the bodies were intact, but the aircraft was damaged. After removing the bodies, we managed to collect some of the luggages, and we started our trip coming back to Nairobi Wilson.
The pilot also had a word of caution to other pilots.
I would like to advise other pilots that between Aberdare and Mount Kenya, the weather is not good, and it is advisable to avoid, at this period of bad rainy season, it is advisable to avoid the area.
Efforts to retrieve bodies of the 3 were called off yesterday, soon after the wreckage was sighted due to bad weather.
There were a lot of challenges. The area was extremely cloudy, and the area where the aircraft crashed
was actually very high up in the mountain, approximately 11,000 feet above sea level.
The pilot and his 2 passengers, a mother and her daughter, all foreigners, went missing on Thursday evening after taking off in Laikipia. Preliminary investigations indicate that bad weather may have caused the light aircraft to crash. Najma Ismail, KTN.
All right, we revisit our top story. It's coming out of Naivasha. Government officials had to flee for dear life from enraged members of the Maasai community whose houses were allegedly torched by security officers last week in a bid to evict them from a 16,000-acre field which is the subject of controversy. Interior Secretary Joseph Olelenku, who later addressed the locals, stated that the government was unaware of the forceful evictions.
A chaotic reception is what government officials from Nakuru on a mission to calm down members of the Ma community evicted from a contentious piece of land in Narasha village in Naivasha got. Even with their homes normal, residents were determined to protect what they claimed to be their land. The Nakuru team was forced to flee the area after the Maasai attacked them, claiming the Nakuru County administration has failed and is behind their eviction. The team was here to attend a meeting called by the Interior Cabinet Secretary. Cabinet Secretary in the Ministry of Interior, Joseph Olelenku, and his counterpart from the Ministry of Energy, Davis Chirchir, arrived just on time to calm the angry residents. The 2 cabinet secretaries insisting that the government is not aware of the forceful eviction and those behind it will be prosecuted and that the eviction is a criminal act.
Hatukupata fununu yoyote kwamba kulikuwa na shida hapa Naivasha.
The Interior Cabinet Secretary has further promised that the government will rebuild all the houses destroyed during the eviction. But despite all the effort by the government, residents are still demanding for answers. Who ordered the armed officers from Rapid Deployment Unit to evict the residents and torch their homes? Could such an eviction happen without the government's knowledge?
Tunataka waseme huyo ofisa wa serikali ndiye anakulaga rushwa, alafu sasa ndiye anaanza kujifanya ni serikali inatumia nguvu kiasi hicho.
Conflict over the vast piece of land has been simmering for years, with numerous court injunctions imposed by the court over a span of 20 years. 3 years ago, a court ordered that the Maasai community should own 4,000 acres of the 16,000 acres piece of land, and the rest, 12,000 acres, allocated to other communities living in the area. The Maasai community were, however, against the decision and claimed that 12,000 acres was their ancestral land and should therefore not be allocated to outsiders whom, according to them, had the intention of selling a chunk of it to the government for energy exploration. The Maasai community, led by its political leaders and community elders, claim to have documents dating back to colonial time that show the land is legally theirs. It's a land case that dates way back to previous governments, and as to whether we have seen the last of such conflict of this land, only time will tell. Angel Katuse, KTN, Sunday night.
Well, governors from across the country have defended their chairperson, Isaac Ruto, over claims that he was being used to undermine the national government. All 47 governors, as well as senators, now want the government to release all funds allocated to the counties. KTN's Ashamwilu reports on this back and forth that has derailed devolution.
What we see now is that if we have all these quarrels going on, then we shall not be as Kenyans in a position to monitor what the governors are doing. And that might become the undoing of the county governments.
They are the latest to add their dissenting voice to the argument over how the government is handling devolution. The civil society now backing Isaac Ruto's argument that the national government is out to derail devolution. And as the debate heated up, all governors and senators met in Mombasa to ensure they all read from the same script on the matter.
There have been circulars written to the ministry and the officers of public works and housing and other departments asking them and roads not to work with the governors This, in our view, is not the way forward.
Is the need again for governors and senators to work together and expeditiously to iron out the small challenges that we are experiencing now.
This debate, however, is not shy of an ugly side. 8 MPs from the URP camp embarked on a firefighting mission during a fundraiser in Tinderet, censuring Bomet Governor Isaac Ruto for publicly criticizing the government.
Katika katiba inasema 15% na tumepatia 31%. Amedanganya Isaac akamwambie wewe unaweza kuwa running mate yangu 27. Ndio amwambie awache, hakuna uongozi atapata, asahau.
Nimeona wengine magovernors wanataka 40%. Ati wanataka referendum. What you are saying, there was no referendum between 15 and 32.
Tuliambia rafiki yetu Isaac Ruto kama amechoka na sisi Jubilee, ati anatangaza URP itakuja kukutana na ODM. Hiyo ni ndoto, na aishi na hiyo ndoto peke yake, asiingize watu wetu.
But Isaac Ruto, who appeared on KTN's Live Wire show, seemed unfazed by all these threats and vowed to stand for devolution.
They can deregister me. I'm still a governor. The constitutional provisions does not provide for a governor to leave office because of party issues. First of all, you are expected, once elected, to work for everybody.
Insiders, however, say that Ruto's bold move to undermine the government that he campaigned for could be a sign of a strong rebellion within the deputy president's political party, URP. As the devolution debate metamorphoses into yet another political contest, the process of devolving the government's functions to better serve Kenyans continues to suffer major setbacks 3 years after the country promulgated a new constitution. Asha Mwilu, KTN, Sunday Night.
All right, let's move to an equally controversial topic now, and with close to 4 months before the 50th anniversary of Kenya's independence, it is emerging that much more could be happening behind the scenes in preparations for an event that could end up costing you, the taxpayer, dearly. Concern is emerging over the proposed budget, with the organizing committee accused of shady business. The caliber of firms being proposed for tenders has also come under sharp criticism.
A 2.5 billion shilling budget to be splashed in the celebration of the 50 years of Kenya's independence that will climax on the 12th of December's Independence Day celebration is a subject of controversy, as many feel the figures do not reflect the economic situation in the country. Although preparations for the event may have started with the Grand Coalition government of Mwai Kibaki and Raila Odinga, it is now emerging that President Uhuru Kenyatta's government is at the core of the preparations, with Principal Secretary for Interior Coordination and National Government Mutea Iringo at the center of the preparations. Sources close to the Kenya at 50 organizing committee revealed to KTN that based on the huge budget for the celebration, different interests are at loggerheads on who exactly should be calling the shots in the organization of the event. The initial organizers, who were working on the Golden Jubilee before President Uhuru Kenyatta took the reins of power, are now not happy with Mutea Iringo now calling the shots. Another source at the committee revealed that although no budgets have been approved, much more could be going on behind the scenes, and auditing the process, including the finances, could prove a major challenge. Others are also questioning the caliber of firms proposed for award of tenders to actualize the Golden Jubilee celebration. Briefing members of the private sector on preparations for the event at a breakfast meeting on Thursday, Iringo stated that the government was determined to ensure that the event outshines President Kenyatta's inauguration ceremony.
The event will be observed in all the counties, the 47 counties, and at Uhuru Park on 11th and Kasarani on 12th December.
The organizing committee could also make retired President Mwai Kibaki be honored more than other presidents if a proposal to build a bronze monument of him during the promulgation of the new constitution is honored. Kibaki already has another benefit of a 500 million shilling house and office.
It's the year of Jubilee, but we are not supposed to overspend. Yeah, we can celebrate, but we are not supposed to overspend.
I think it's a good idea, and at the same time, it's not a good idea. It's not a good idea to use 2.5 billion just to celebrate for the sake of it.
If we can use the funds, 2.5 billion, to finance the national repentance
and reconciliation that was brought forward by Kiplagat report. It can be better than a way of celebrating while we embrace peace and reconcile to one another.
Events management, logistics, hiring of conference halls, media and publicity, entertainments, together with awards to prominent personalities, are expected to take the biggest chunk of the budget. Over 40 heads of states and dignitaries from international organizations are expected to attend what will perhaps be the biggest national celebrations in the history of Kenya. Aaron Ochieng, KTN.
The just concluded Makueni Senate by-election got a victor and losers, but besides what everyone witnessed, one teacher from Makueni is admitted to hospital nursing injuries that were allegedly inflicted on him by a county official because of the teacher's decision to support Mutula Kilonzo Jr. The teacher claims the official, together with his bodyguards, beat him after he refused to back a certain candidate. Teachers from the Makueni branch of the Kenya National Union of Teachers want the incident investigated.
At the Makindu District Hospital in Makueni County, a primary school teacher is admitted with injuries allegedly inflicted to him by a county assembly official who was not happy with the political decision that the teacher took in the just concluded Makueni Senate by-election.
Akaniambia siwezi nikampeleka popote kwa sababu yako na pesa za kutosha na ako serikalini na atanimaliza. Kwa hivyo ndio mambo ambayo pia ninasikia vibaya sana, na ninaomba kama ninaweza kubaziwa usaidizi wa kisheria, nione kama haki ninaweza kutendewa kama wananchi wale wengine, according to the constitution of this country, what it says, justice for all, regardless of their status in life.
Teachers took to the streets to protest against the action of the county official and are demanding action from the governor of Makueni County, Kivutha Kibwana, or the resignation of the official.
And today these teachers have come round here in the hospital to see how this teacher was hurt during that material day. I, as the chairman, am now denying that we teachers should not be intimidated to such an extent, and we need to be given all the cordial love, and we need to live. We have all the rights to go for voting, and we don't need to be intimidated in public the way that teacher was knocked. And we are ready to present our grievances to the IEBC on the matter.
The teacher, whose leg was injured some years back after being involved in an accident, says the beating has worsened his situation.
Ndamu ikatoka kila mahali na ninasikia uchungu kutoka hapo kwa pua, na hata masikio alinichapa hata nisisikii vizuri, na nikachapa hapa mbele na akanichapa nyuma hata siwezi nikasimama wala mbodi.
The teacher wants the police to investigate the incident. Aaron Ochieng, KTN.
And a little later on Checkpoint, we'll be discussing the broader intrigues that surrounded the Makueni by-election. Now, in other news from across the counties, prison administrators released photos of 2 life sentence inmates who escaped from Ashimo Latewa prison. In Nyeri, 1 person dies after being struck by lightning. These and more in our news briefs.
3 people in Mombasa have escaped death Sunday morning when the car they were traveling in plunged into a ditch following a tire burst. All occupants escaped with no injuries. Prison authorities in Mombasa have released photographs of 2 life sentence serving prisoners who escaped Shimo Latewa prison 2 weeks ago. The authorities have announced a 50,000 shilling reward to anyone with reliable information on the whereabouts of the 2. In Nyeri County, 1 person died after he was struck by lightning outside his house. The deceased was standing outside his home with his 12-year-old son, who was also struck but escaped unhurt. In Kakamega County, police will no longer have to share rooms or live in shanties after Kakamega Governor Wycliffe Oparanya allocated 5 million shillings towards better housing units and expressed the need to recruit more security personnel, saying the current force was overstretched. And finally, a body of a middle-aged woman was found at Kamahuha Shopping Center in Murang'a County Sunday morning. Police suspected the victim was killed somewhere else and her body dumped in the town. Worried residents now want the county administration to bolster security in the county. Charity Kimani, KTN.
Well, it's time for us to take a short break on KTN Sunday Night. Just ahead, living in solitude, the story of Samburu's Ilkunono ostracized clan. Stay with us.